You rebel scum. Tell us where the rebel base is.
No, I'll never tell you, except to say that maybe it's on Toydaria.
Oh, Toydaria. Send the Death Star there.
Alright, hold on just a second, guys. Alright, we're in Toydaria. Firing main laser.
Well, is the rebel base destroyed?
Doesn't appear to be. It looks like all the rebels are still in their hidden base.
Do you need some assistance, my Emperor? No, just stay over there. Stay over there. I've got this handled.
Maybe you could use a little bit of help.
Oh, silence you. I'm Han Solo, and I take issue with this. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Hey, it's, Star Wars Rebellion. That's right, it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and it's up to you to write or rewrite the history of the original Star Wars trilogy. Hey everyone, welcome to Josh's Tabletop Talk. I'm Josh, and we are talking about Star Wars Rebellion. This is essentially Star Wars in a box. And I mean, look at the size of this thing. This has so much more than I'm even showing you right now. I haven't even set this up for a full game, but we've got so many cards and decks and figures, and oh my goodness, look at all of the different models that come with the game. You've got buildings and units over here in the building queue, and more ships, and then there's the Death Star under construction. There's a lot to this game, and it's in the top 10 on Board Game Geek right now, and I understand why. Of all the Star Wars games that I've had a chance to play, this has got to be my favorite. And actually, one of the reasons that you're not going to see some of the other guys on Filbert Express this month is because, well, me and Christopher literally spent over 5.5 hours playing and relearning this game, and half the time we were looking in the Learn to Play or the rules reference, and it was just fun. Like, by the end of that 5.5, 6 hours, I asked him, so would you want to play this again? And he was like, yeah, like I want to play this again. And so do I. And in fact, this game does such a good job of representing the entirety of the original trilogy that it keeps your attention every single minute of the game. It's even great for just 2 players, and it's also asymmetrical, meaning that the Empire is going to have way more troops than the measly rebels, but the rebels have their own tactics to use as well, and the rebels have different motives in order to beat the game. The Empire has to find the secret rebel base, and the rebels simply need to cause enough damage to the Empire, represented by this token right here, and then there's the time tracker. And if this token and the time tracker ever meet on the same square, well, the rebels win, because that represents the fact that the rebels have caused enough damage to the Empire and gained enough support to mount a full-scale uprising against the evil Empire. But like I said earlier, you can rewrite Star Wars history. In fact, in the game that Christopher and I played, I never recruited Luke Skywalker as one of my rebel leaders. You get a pool of so many rebel leaders and Imperial leaders to use, and you start off with your starting people, the ones who are guaranteed to be in the rebellion, like Princess Leia, who's got the captured ring around her player base right now. And then I also recruited Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is, where's that old wizard? Let's find him. Here he is, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And instead of sending Luke to Dagobah to train with Master Yoda, I had to send Obi-Wan so that he could get the bonus of having the training of Yoda. I also played as the Imperials one time before, but I didn't get to play the entire game, and so a lot of things didn't come around. But the way the Imperials find the Rebel base is by sending out these probe droids, and each round the Imperials get to pull 2 probe droid cards that have the names of 2 planets where the Rebel base is not located. So it's very cinematic in that aspect, and as the game goes on, the Imperial's job is to subjugate planets, denoted by this symbol right here, and the Emperor can actually go there and turn this planet for the Empire, but the rebels can swoop in and run sabotage missions to slow the progress of the Empire down by preventing this planet from producing resources, or by destroying units before they even get built in the building queue, or through many other means that cause the Empire major setbacks. And just like in the movies, the rebels can mount an assault against the Death Star that's under construction, or if things look dire, they can even mount an assault against the Death Star itself. And very much so like the movies, the Death Star can be destroyed by one well-aimed shot from a little fighter, but those little fighters have to be able to make it through one battle round against however many forces are waiting in space to attack them. Likewise, when the Rebel base is found, the Imperials have to defeat all the ground units on that Rebel base in order for it to be crushed and the rebellion to be squashed. So once again, the Imperials have to find and destroy the Rebel base, and the Rebels just have to keep causing damage. Now, one thing that they can do is by gaining loyalty on planets and allowing them to build the units on their player faction that line up with that particular symbol. So, the Rebels also have far fewer resources to deal with, and they have fewer troops, fewer ships, and honestly weaker ships. In fact, the Mon Calamari cruiser, you'll recognize this being the home one for those of you who are big fans, pales in comparison to the Super Star Destroyer or even the Death Star, which gets more dice and has more health, just as much more difficult to kill, but is also harder to create for the Imperials even. So, and oh, by the way, if the Rebels aren't careful, the Imperials can have 2 Death Stars and 2 Super Star Destroyers. Highly unlikely to happen in one game, but oh man, Christopher had 2 Death Stars and was roaming around the galaxy looking for my base, and he got really close, destroyed one of my planets that my rebels were on. It wasn't the secret base, but he did eventually find it, and it took him a little while to battle through all the forces I had there, but he ended up winning and rewriting the history of the Star Wars universe. So the Rebels lost in this one, but Princess Leia was captured a couple times, rescued by Ben Kenobi, and he slowly crept through the galaxy, taking over planet after planet, while my forces just kept getting diminished, and I lost all of my air forces, but my ground forces managed to hold onto the planets. But it just wasn't enough, and I wasn't able to finish my objectives to bring the Empire to its knees. This is such a fun game, and I can't quite explain why it brings about so much fun for so many hours, but I'm also going to have to say that when you play this game, for your first probably 2, maybe even 3 games, this rules reference book is going to be used heavily. I mean, there are so many obscure rules references in this book, but that's probably half the fun of the game, is that every time you flip over a new mission card, or your enemy flips over a new mission card, you're going to say, wait a second, I haven't encountered this before. I need to look this up. And so you're going to be flipping through this book saying, oh my goodness, this is how this works. This is so intense. I love it. You're going to see the enemy forces creep closer and closer to where you know your rebel base is. And you're going to just try to be like, maybe, hey guys, I'm causing trouble all the way over here. Why don't you come and, turn your attention over here? And in fact, I managed to draw Christopher's attention away from where my rebel base was for a very long time by doing things like that and focusing his attention on one side of the board while my rebel base was on the opposite side. And it was just fun knowing that he got so close to me one time, but I managed to keep him away for so long. But in the end, he was able to determine where my rebel base was based on his probe droid cards and his scouting parties. And it was just very fun and intense, and the objectives that the rebels have versus the abilities of the Empire really make this a well-balanced asymmetrical game. This isn't just all about combat either. This isn't a risk game, so you're not going to be sending units into battle every single round. You may just be focused on sending your heroes to certain planets to battle certain people or to complete objectives or just to win that planet's favor or to counter another leader's objective in that sector. I can safely say that this is probably going to be one of my favorite games for a long time, even though it may not get to hit the table very long due to its immense amount of time. I believe the game says it's supposed to only take 4 hours. I just gotta say it somewhere. Hold on. 3 to 4 hours. Yeah. I can promise you that when you first play this game, it's probably going to be 5 or 6 hours because, once again, rules reference book is huge. But it's that level of complexity. It's the fact that your heroes can be captured, or your heroes can be trained by Yoda, or even converted to the dark side, frozen in carbonite, or hop aboard the Millennium Falcon. It's all of these little pieces of flavor that just keep you locked onto this game for the entire 4 to 6 hours, however long you play it. And I asked myself, would this game have been as much fun had it not been Star Wars? And, well, I tried thinking of something like Twilight Imperium, in which it's got just as big, if not bigger, of a board, more plastic pieces, more factions involved, and it also takes hours and hours to play depending on the player count. And I gotta say that perhaps not, but the fact that this is a Star Wars game and the fact that Fantasy Flight did an outstanding job on it certainly helps it. And of course you can tell with me that I'm going to enjoy this game simply because it's got the Star Wars theme on it. But once again, everyone on Board Game Geek seems to agree as well. This game deserves to be in the top 10, and rightfully so. A lot of people may not enjoy the dice rolling mechanics in certain parts of the game because sometimes you think you've got a mission down pat and then your opponent rolls the dice, fewer dice than you, and ends up winning. Well, that's kind of one of the Ameritrash things about this, is that the dice can sometimes cause fate to shift in a different direction. Nevertheless, though, even with dice rolling, there are other mitigation factors that help balance this game out, and I'm going to bring this to the table as much as I can, and I can't wait for us to do a review of it so that, well, I can give it some good reviews. That's it for this episode of Josh's Tabletop Talk. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. We've got the links in our info section of this video. And if you enjoy Star Wars and if you've played this game, comment below and let us know what you think. Thanks for watching. Be sure and check out more of our videos at the end of this one.